Now, when I look at women of my generation or younger than me, there's one thing that I see over and over again, and that is that women don't really value their role as homemakers or as mothers as important as it is. And that is something that I really wanted to address today, because I believe that that is a curse that is going around in our generation. This is not how it should be. And I wanted to talk about having your priorities straight and really knowing, okay, what actually is important? What do I need to focus my time on, and go from there? So let's talk about that today. Hey friends, and welcome to today's video. Now, for those that don't know me yet, my name is Stephanie. I have been a wife and a homemaker for over 13 years now, and I'm a mom to 3 amazing children. And that is what I love to talk about on this channel. So I talk about biblical homemaking and motherhood. So if that is something that you're interested in, I would love to have you here as a subscriber. But today I wanted to talk about 2 of the roles that we have as women, and that can be being a homemaker and or being a mother. And what I wanted to talk about is how important those roles are. Now, that is not everything that we do as women, obviously. So if you want to learn more about our roles as biblical women and what that looks like, I would highly suggest you check out my ebook that is about Titus 2, because Titus 2 is full of amazing information about what we can and should be doing as women. So if you're interested in your role as a woman and how that looks according to God's plan and what He wants you to focus on, then I will leave a link down below for my Titus 2 ebook. But I wanted to talk about being a homemaker and being a mother today. And this is something that has been on my heart for quite a while now, because what I see often is that women don't really value their role at home as valuable as it is, and they will get distracted by so many things, and they will do other things instead of being a homemaker. And it is something that I've been thinking about over and over again. I've been praying about it, but I really do believe that more women need to talk about how important it is to be a homemaker. And it doesn't matter if you are home 24/7 or if you work full-time, you are a homemaker. It is part of your role as a woman. And if you live other than at your parents' house, then you're a homemaker. So this is something that we all need to learn, and that is something that I think is kind of a lost art in today's day and age. So today I wanted to touch on 4 things that I believe that are extremely important when you want to become a good homemaker and a good mother, and how you can actually make sure that you have your priorities straight. Now, the first thing that you need to do is spend time with the Lord. And this is obviously the most important one. And the reason for it is, well, obviously you need to spend time with Him, but also He knows what you should focus on in this season, because that is different for every single person. Some women have to go to work because otherwise you wouldn't be able to feed your family, for example. Some women can actually do more ministry type things. Some women need to stay at home and take care of the children. Some women homeschool. It depends on so many different things. So ask Him, okay, Lord, what is your focus? What do you want me to focus on for my family? And I say this because what I often hear is women that say, okay, I am going to do this volunteering in church, and I'm going to do that Bible study, and I'm going to do that. And before you know it, their entire agenda is filled with all sorts of stuff that might seem like great things to do, but is it actually what the Lord asks of you? And that is very important. So always ask Him, okay, Lord, what do you want me to focus on? What is my season right now? What do you want me to do? And from there, you're going to do the rest of the things that we're going to talk about. But it's really important to really ask Him what to do. And you can do this in many different ways. You can have moments in your quiet time where you're just going to sit down and listen and say, okay, I really want to hear from you. What do you want me to do? What I also find very valuable is to actually start writing. I'm a writer. I can write for hours if I want to. But what I really enjoy is just writing things down. Okay, what do I think is important? And I will start thinking my own thoughts. I will just write down things that I think are important. But as I'm writing, I often realize that I'm starting to write things down that I haven't even thought about before. And that actually is the Holy Spirit helping you write down the things that He wants you to focus on. So you can also start writing things down or typing them if you're more of a typer. But really make sure that you spend time in His Word. What does God's Word say? What does He want us to do as women? What does He value us to do as women? And go from there. And like I said, you could also use my ebook to know a bit more about your role as a woman, but it is really important to just focus on what does He want me to do in this season, because that is different for everyone. Now, another thing that is actually extremely important is creating a family vision. And I actually made a video about that, so I will link that video down below as well. But I talked about in that video that you also need to spend time with God because, well, that is the most important thing that you can do. But you also need to do this together with your spouse. So sit down with your husband and say, okay, what do you think we need to focus on as a family? And having a family vision is going to help you in so many areas in your life, because if you have that vision, you know, okay, what do I need to say yes to? And what do I actually need to say no to? Because a lot of times we just have to say no more often, because we will fill up our entire planner with so many things that are important. But is that actually what you need to focus on? And is that in your vision for your family? So make sure you have a family vision. And I said it in that video as well, but if your vision is to be very outdoorsy as a family and go on hikes and be a sportive family, then you might say yes to going on a hike more often than if your family vision would be to be at home and teach your children life skills and teach them how to cook and teach them how to sew and all those things. So it depends on your family vision, what you are going to say yes to as a family and what you're going to say no to. So make sure that the family vision is a vision that you created for your family and not a vision that you think other people have, not a vision that your family thinks, your extended family thinks you should have. No, your family vision is something that you create with your spouse together with God. So you two, or actually you three, you're going to make it with God and you're going to write down, okay, what is the family vision that we need to focus on? And that might be extremely different than what your extended family or your friends or family or whatever might expect from you. So create a vision with the Lord and with your spouse and make sure that you know what you are working towards as a family. Now, when it comes to your everyday, every week life, it is extremely important to always look at your planner and to say, okay, what am I actually doing this week? And is this in line? And is this what we value as a family? And I say that because a lot of times there are so many things that can be very interesting. For example, on Sunday, you go to church and there is a new Bible study that is announced and you're like, oh, that is amazing. I'm going to do that every Monday evening. I'm going to be at that Bible study. 2 weeks from now, someone at church comes to you and says, hey, we're going to start a fun group with the children and every Wednesday afternoon we will come together and we're going to do whatever. And you're thinking, oh, that is amazing. Church friends, we're going to do this. Next week, there's a new course or a new Bible study or whatever that comes up. And then they need volunteers for the Thursday evening. And before you know it, your entire planner is filled up with things that are actually good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with going to a Bible study or volunteering at church or doing something with church friends on a Wednesday afternoon. But is that actually what the Lord asks of you? And what I often see is people fill up their planner with all these good things, so to speak, and they are good, but they fill up their entire planner and then they will come to me and they say, hey, how do you do this? Because I'm doing all these things, but I don't have time to clean my house. And that is where things go a bit out of balance, because your first priority is what you've been given by the Lord, and that is your home and your family. That is what He gave you as your first priority. You were given that family for a reason, and that is what you need to take care of. And that is, like I said, that is our role as women. So even though a Bible study is great, if that means that going to Bible study means that you're not going to be able to feed your family a healthy, delicious dinner, and you're going to have to order takeout 2 or 3 or 4 times a week, then there's something wrong. So always make sure that what you do is that actually in line with the Lord asks of you. And a lot of times I just feel that women just feel that pull from the world almost and saying, hey, you need to get out of that house because what you're doing in the house is not important enough. It doesn't really matter for eternity. So just do whatever you want to do. And that is so not true, because what you're doing in the home is actually valuable for eternity. And not necessarily cleaning the toilet, but taking care of your children and creating a safe atmosphere at the home where your children can thrive and where they can learn who the Lord is for them. They can get to know Jesus on a personal level. They know from your walk with the Lord how to be a good Christian. That is important. That is valuable for eternity. So even if you would just be at home 24/7, you never do anything outside of the home, you are still doing the Great Commission, because you are telling people about the Lord and you're making disciples, and those are the people that are right in your house. So I really want you to change your mindset almost and say, what is most important? And the Lord gave you your house and your family to take care of. And taking care of the house is taking care of your family. Because if your husband comes home and you know he doesn't like it when there's a bunch of stuff on the floor and the kitchen is still a mess, you didn't do the dishes, if you know that doesn't bless him, and I mean, it doesn't bless anybody, I guess. But if you know that doesn't bless him and you think, okay, I'm not going to do it because I have more important things to do, so I'm going to clean the toilet in church, which is also important. But if you're going to clean the toilet in the church, but you don't clean your own, then, I mean, that's out of balance. And that is what I believe is something that we need to focus on more as women. Our first priority is the home. And I think we've all seen that letter where it says God should be first, then your husband, then your children, and it just keeps going. But what I think a lot of women do, maybe not even consciously, but they think, okay, God is the first, so everything that has to do with the Lord is actually first. But going to church is not the same as having God as your first thing, as your first priority. Church is not the same as God. God should be first. So every single day you need to spend time with him. You need to always do things that please the Lord. You need to do everything as unto the Lord. So that means that he is at your first priority on your list. But church is not there. Yes, it is important to clean the toilets, and I'm not saying you shouldn't serve in church, because that is actually important and we all need to do our thing and have our share in the church. But it actually goes out of balance when we go to every single conference, we do every single Bible study, we do every single thing that they ask of us, and we put church almost at number one, and we forget about 2 and 3, whereas number 1 should be the Lord, 2 is your husband, 3 is your children and your home, and then comes church. So church, doing things for the church, should never take away time from the things that are important, and that is your home and your family. So the thing that you need to do every single week is look at your calendar and say, okay, what do I have written down, and do I actually have time for the things that are most important? So you actually need to make sure that you have time for quiet time every single day, but you also need to make sure that you have it written down that you're going to clean the bathroom, or that you're going to clean the kitchen, or that you're going to grocery shop, or that you're going to cook, or do the laundry, whatever it might be. Everything that we need to do, have it written down in your calendar, because like I said, before you know it, your entire calendar will be filled, and there will be a ton of things that are good, but they're taking away time from your homemaking. So what I do is I actually have a block schedule, and I'm thinking about actually creating an entire video about my block schedule and how that works. But I have a separate block in the afternoon where I do my homemaking tasks, and I just need to make sure that that happens. So sometimes I have to say no to things that actually sound great, or that are fun, or that are good to do. Like I said, going to church or whatever. Well, not going to church on a Sunday morning, but volunteering at church, for example. If I have a very busy schedule that week and I don't have time to do that, then I have to say no, because I have to make sure that my own toilet is clean before I clean the one in the church, right? So have it written down in your calendar and make sure you actually schedule in time to do your homemaking tasks and do the things that you need to do. Now, on top of that, now that you've written down every single thing that you need to do, it is actually time to look at some routines and create routines in your life that are going to make your life easier. For example, we have had our routines for, well, years now, so we don't even have to write much down anymore, because the children just know around 4 o'clock, the music goes too loud. We clean the entire home. I vacuum. They pick up all their clutter. I start dinner. They make sure that everything looks good in the home. And when Dad comes home at 5:15, everything is done. Everything is clean. And he comes home into a clean house. Now, I don't have to write down every single thing. And I don't have to write down, okay, we need to pick up the clutter and we need to put the toys away. And I don't have to write that down anymore, because it is a routine that we do every single day. Every single day at 4 o'clock, that is what happens. But I used to do that in the beginning. So when I first started my routines, or when I add something to a routine, it is something I remind myself of often. So I write it down. I say, okay, this is my morning routine. This is what needs to be done. And I just check it off. And I just say, okay, we did everything. Now we can move on to whatever needs to happen that morning. Or I say, okay, we're going to add in a new routine. We're going to add in a new task, I should say. So from now on, after breakfast, For example, my oldest, he has a chore. He cleans the toilet every morning. I could say, okay, from now on, you're going to clean the toilet, but you're also going to do whatever. You're also going to do your laundry. He doesn't do that, but just as an example. But I will add that in. And then from the moment that I add it in, I will have to remind him every single day until it becomes a part of his routine. So it is important to have routines, write them down, and then remind yourself often. So set timers if you need to. Set an alarm on your phone where it actually says what you need to do every 5 minutes maybe, or write it down on a piece of paper, stick it on your fridge, and just create a checklist that you're going to check things off that you did, but make sure that it turns into a routine. Because if you have things in a routine, and if you know, okay, this is what we're going to do, this is the amount of time we need, then you can actually say, okay, my house is now taken care of. So for example, I know every Tuesday I do my zone cleaning, which I use the Fly Lady method for that. I have a blog post about it, so I will actually put a link down below. But I use the Fly Lady method. So I have a certain zone that I do every Tuesday, and I know on that Tuesday that I need to do something. And for example, I know now, because I've done it so many times, that my bathroom will take me about an hour. So on a Tuesday, I know in my homemaking block, I have to have 1 hour for my bathroom. But my homemaking block is 3 to 4 hours. It depends on when we are done with school, but 3 to 4 hours. So if from that 3 hours I need 1 hour for the bathroom, the other 2 hours I can go outside with the kids, I can have people over, I can do other things, I can volunteer at church. But that is because I know how long it takes me. That is something that I've learned over the years. So if you're not at that point yet, first take care of those routines. First know, okay, how long is everything gonna take me? And then you can add in more things later on. So make sure you create a clear vision. You know what you need to do for the home. You have your planner only filled with things that are important at that point in time. And then from there, you're gonna create routines to make it easier. And then you can add in new things or more things into your planner if you feel the need to, or if you think you have more time. And a lot of times we have more time than we think. So if you think, okay, I now have 2 hours left during the day, I don't know what to do with myself, then go to that Bible study, go and have a chat with your friends, go volunteer at church, do those things. But first take care of your home and take care of your family and make sure that that is done. And then you can add in new things. So I really hope that that is helpful. And if you want to learn more about my block schedule and how I do that and how I create routines and all that, let me know down below, because I'm actually thinking, like I said, about creating a separate video for the block schedule system and how I use that and how I make sure that I can actually do everything that I need to do in my day. And I'm thinking about creating a video about routines. So if any of those are interesting to you, let me know down below, then I will actually do that. And I just hope that this was helpful to you, that this is going to bless you, and that you are going to see the value of being a homemaker by focusing more on the family. And if that is something that you struggle with, I actually also have a video about the value of a homemaker and why it is important to be a homemaker. And if that is something that you want to learn more about, I will also leave that down below. So you will have a ton of things to watch. But that is extremely important. Know your value, know how important it is for you as a woman to be at home, to take care of your house, and to take care of your family. Now, I hope that this video blessed you. And if it did, feel free to like this video or subscribe to my channel. And if you want to learn more about Titus 2 and what our roles are as women, don't forget to check out my ebook. And I would love to see you in my next video.